Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio today, my partners in crime, Ralph Michaels and Bryan Leonard. We're going to break down the NBA, and we're going to start with you guys' hometown team, Cleveland Cavaliers. They're not doing as well as the hometown team here in hockey's doing, that's for sure. I'm going to start with you, Bryan. We've got Boston coming into Cleveland, a 6.5-point underdog. We're looking at a total of 205.5. The Cavs are down 0-2, and they always say it's not a series until the home team loses a game. But I got to tell you, the Cavs have not looked good in this series so far.
No, they have not looked good, especially all the spare parts. LeBron was LeBron in the first half of that game until he took the shoulder to the head and had to leave the game, and he wasn't aggressive after that. The word out of Cleveland is he's fine, no problems at all, so I would expect the aggressive LeBron to come out in this game. But the problem has been Boston is so good, and we talked about this before the series, Boston is so good defending the threes that the spots that J.R. Smith and some of the other three-pointers usually get, they're not able to get. They got to go farther out. In fact, even LeBron has had to throw up some three-pointers from farther out than what he's wanted. And when the teams don't practice that, we're usually practicing right, if you ever watch Corver, he makes his turn right around that three-point line, gets the ball, shoots it. Well, Boston's not letting him have that. And they did in the first game. They made the adjustment. Now it's Cleveland's chance to make the adjustments here. And as we talked about from the coaching standpoint, Cleveland's at a disadvantage when it comes to coaching.
I want to talk about that for a quick second. Did you guys see the pictures that were floating around Twitter from the game the other night where the Cavs were all huddled up in a timeout late in the game when it was like a 5 or 6 point game? And Lou was outside of the huddle. He was like looking over. He wasn't even in it. I mean, it's crazy.
It's LeBron being the coach.
If you've watched LeBron play, it's not that he leaves the coach out, but basically he's a final word when it comes down to the plays.
Ralph, if you're going to take Cleveland, you're going to pay a price here. 6.5 is a lot for this Celtics team that, to this point, we talked about, the coaching mismatches and that, but they did have teams that, either only had one star or were young, didn't know. But they're playing a team that's got guys that have been here before. They shouldn't be dominating the way they do. And as Bryan said, the perimeter defense is outstanding. What's surprised me as much is not only is it the perimeter defense where, they're getting to the spots and making back, but they are so long with, their reach, their arm span, that it's making those guys take that extra step, even if they are open, what looks like, is going to be open when they get that arm in front of their face, it's not.
Well, like Bryan said, it's LeBron and the others aren't doing it. We saw the Saturday Night Live skit when they happened earlier in the season. Then they came, and they played well for a couple games, but they're back to where they were. When your starting backcourt of George Hill and J.R. Smith has 12 points and 3 assists combined in 118 minutes played, you're in trouble. I mean, you have 2 players on the court that aren't doing anything for you, and you're playing 3 against 5. Now, for those that want to back the Cavs and like them, we can go back and say, well, the Cavs have won 13 of their last 15 at home. One of those games they lost was the last game of the season when nobody played against New York. So they've won 13 of 14 straight up at home. Their only loss was the first playoff game against Indiana when they got woken up to basketball. They got woken up to a defensive team. But you got to remember, Boston is a completely different team on the road. They're 1-7 straight up. They're 2-6 ATS in the playoffs. Their only ATS covers Philly in overtime and a game at Milwaukee that they lost by 2, getting 3 points. So Boston, again, on the road is not the same team you've seen. But really what we've seen is Boston has 3 starters, 24 years old or younger. The Cavs' youngest player is Kevin Love at 29. And we've seen youth against the old, and we'll see. I think Cleveland wins this game, but I would not bet the Cavs. I would grab Boston plus the points or look towards the under, as I think the Cavs still struggle on offense but play better on defense.
Yeah, the Cavs have some younger players that aren't starting, but none of them have done well. In fact, if you take the guys that we picked up midseason trades that everybody was so excited about at one point, if you take a look at all the players that have played in the playoffs so far, the most minus numbers when they're on the court are the guys that we brought in from the Lakers and from Utah. So it hasn't worked out as well, the trade, is nearly as much now as it has in the past. And that is the worry. Cleveland's got probably, if you were to look at Cleveland's team, there's probably 4 guys on Cleveland's team that could probably play for other teams. And then you've got the J.R. Smiths, you've got the guys at the end of the bench. They just don't have any depth.
Yeah, and that's in Boston's scoring is so balanced. They have 5, 6 guys that can score double digits for you. Who do you stop? You know, they move the ball. Their ball movement is excellent, and again, that goes to coaching. They find the open shot, and you know, I like this team, and I got to agree with you. I think Cleveland will find a way to win. You know, to get this series to 2-1. But I don't know that I can, you know, comfortably lay 6.5 points.
You know what? If you're watching the Cavs, and I don't know if you took advantage of this, but I was thinking when LeBron's shooting those 3 points in the first quarter, you just bet against the Cavs. There's no way they survive the whole game like that. When they win, it's when LeBron gets the other people going in the first quarter, give them some confidence, and he can take over in the second half. But if he's got to take over in the first quarter, just live bet against him.
He has to take over because he tried to do that in the first half. And as I said, the spots that they're normally lining up for, they couldn't get there. And Boston's so fast. I mean, I've said this against the Cavs all year long. They have nobody defensively that can stop these guards that can really take it to the basket. So Boston's getting a lot of shots in the paint. And if you watch LeBron, he doesn't try to block the shots when he's in front of the guy because he doesn't want to pick up the foul. Right. The only time he's defending that way is when he comes up behind the guy and tries to swat it away from the back where he's not going to get fouled. So unless he's going to try to go all out defensively, which is really hard to do when you're the only offensive player on that team, it's going to be tough for Cleveland. If you're looking for Boston, see if you can get a 7. 7's a key number. Maybe they won't foul, as opposed to the Houston Golden State game the other day at the last seconds. But, yeah, 7's a key number.
LeBron does have 4 days off for Game 3. But then, like you said, if he does go all out, you only have the 1 day off for Game 4.
If I'm Boston, go ahead and let LeBron get his points. He can't beat them by himself. He needs some help. And when, as you said, when he does it all himself, the other guys don't get involved, they don't win. But the other part of it is, if LeBron's got to carry the load offensively, then he doesn't have the same intensity on the other side of the floor when he's got to play defense, and that helps Boston. A couple quick stats, and we got to go because we're wrapping this one up. Cleveland, 5-18 against the spread this year after a loss by 10 points or more. Boston, off of a win of 10 points or more, 19-9 against the spread. So that would bode well if you want to back Boston.
Just one final thing. If you're live betting, no doubt you want to play Boston after a timeout, play against Cleveland after a timeout. Boston scores every time after a timeout. So if you're doing that, that's some easy money.
And the reason you bring that up is because as soon as they go to timeout, there's the adjustment in the line. And if it's Boston calling the timeout, probably Cleveland was just on a little bit of a run. So you're going to get the peak of the number on the Boston side. Because the minute they score the bucket, the end game is going to switch back.
And because it's nationally televised, there's a lot more timeouts. Yeah. So you get a lot of chances to use this.
Yeah, good point. Before I give the special for this week, you guys have anything you want to promote this week? I know, Brian, you've been running good.
Yeah, I continue to win in baseball, up 84% in profit the last 42 days. Big 5-star winner on the Cardinals. Most of my plays are underdog plays. It's just been a terrific baseball season, and hockey and basketball are going well, too, so I can't complain.
You know, we talk about at WagerTalk and a lot on the podcast how, you know, our cappers bet their games. They don't force plays. You know, Brian's big play this week was a 110 start. How many other services have their big plays? That's the best game on the board. Doesn't matter that it started at 1 o'clock and it's only open to so many people. If it's your best play, it's 1 o'clock start, you use it, it was a winner. So congrats to you. I mean, I just wanted to mention that.
I don't care how many sales I get. I just want to win. If you win, the sales come.
Yep.
It's amazing how many other services.
Yeah, the last game on a Saturday is your five.
Other sites that have games of the year every round of the playoffs and the late games. We know that. We don't want to be part of that. All right, guys. Hey, I talked about it at the beginning of the video. This town is crazy for the Vegas Golden Knights right now. Well, in honor of them, our coupon code this weekend, use coupon code VGK for the Vegas Golden Knights and put the number 10 behind it. You're going to get $10 off, and you can use it on any package that coupon is good through Sunday at midnight. We're going to be back with more here at WagerTalk.com. Don't forget, if you like these videos, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and be sure to share it with all your friends. We'll be back in a moment.